We are again.
Yep. Yeah, we're back.
It's that time.
It's that time, and we all survived Sandy.
Yes, Sandy.
I wonder how many people will think twice before naming their daughters
Well,
Sandra.
actually, they might name them Sandy because to commemorate the occasion.
A devastating, not New York. Not in New York.
Not in New York.
Not on the
probably.
Jersey Shore.
No, no.
I
really
don't
feel
think.
for those people. How hard it must be. You're living an ordinary life, and all of a sudden, boom! You have no water and no heat and no
More for less.
transportation.
Mm.
Yeah.
The lap of luxury
Well, what was
has
interesting
turned
to me
into
was
a pool of
this was a really people really
contamination.
got well prepared for the storm, and you were prepared whether it happened or not to you, because someone was telling me that the day before, the 2 days or 3 days before the storm, every shelf in Walmart was empty that had water and bread and milk and things. But you know, as they pointed out, if your refrigerator goes bad, what's going to happen to your milk?
No,
Oh, well.
you need water. You know.
But you do need water.
It doesn't have to
they
be
do
cold
say.
water.
Yeah, well, water.
I feel very sorry for the folks 50 stories up in gigantic housing.
Well, what about the ones with pets 50 stories up?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you told me something about a man who had,
Oh, he was only 11 stories
I
up.
know, he had to take his dog out. He was 11 flights of stairs
Yeah,
away from the sidewalk.
3 or 4 times a day.
Whoa.
No elevator.
No.
But anyway, we're here, and
Yeah, and the theme for today is a lot with a little.
a lot with a little, yeah, which is the way our governments are going to be operating pretty soon.
Oh, well, let's not talk politics.
Okay, no politics.
No politics, no
Okay,
politics.
no politics.
No. But what I think about is, for me anyway, I grew up with the thought that you use up everything, and what you can't use up, you create. I mean, like for instance, I used to make doll furniture out of things like matchboxes and cardboard and Scotch tape when I could find it, and things like that. And I made wonderful furniture for my dollhouse with very little, except scraps of things here and there. And I think that one of the things I believe is that this storm, Sandy, is going to bring forth a lot of creativity from people that they didn't even know they had. And sometimes that's what happens with adversity.
Mm-hmm.
It sparks creativity.
Mm-hmm. I think you're right. I haven't felt especially creative lately.
You haven't.
No, I've been writing my little tales.
But you've been very creative with writing.
Yeah, I haven't made
You
a
mean
picture
you haven't
in a
felt
long
especially
time.
creative with your art.
With visuals, right.
But once again, one of the things that you did was you went through a lot of your materials and shared.
Cleared a lot out.
And you had a lot there, and now you have little, or at least
Less. A few drawers less. And now the second prune
And
is
and you're
starting.
going to do it again. Sometimes when you scrape off the first layer, then you have a better sense of how the second layer is going to be
Mm-hmm.
and how it's going to work.
Mm-hmm.
I know in terms of a lot with a little, something like getting a chicken on Friday, from the supermarket and having it a nice hot chicken for lunch, and then being able to make a chicken soup and from the bones and chicken salad or hot, chicken and rice casserole with some of it, mingle in some of the chicken into a salad, whatever. I can take something that's just one chicken and make quite a few meals out of it.
You're very streeply in the kitchen.
Well, that's something I learned when
That's
I had
pun.
growing up with 5 children. I was very what in the kitchen?
Streeply.
What's streeply?
Well, I was watching her in the movie making an egg and bacon.
You mean the actress?
The actress, yes. And I thought you would have done a better job and given Mr. Lee Jones a better breakfast.
Well, I noticed
she
it would
seemed
show
to.
her frying the bacon, but then they did not show her taking it directly from the stove and putting it on his plate. So I surmised that she wasn't really, it wasn't the same bacon that she fried.
No, she I did not see her wielding a spatula, but that's neither here nor there.
That's
I thought
fine.
it was a silly movie, by the way.
Well, it was Hope Springs is what we're talking about. And, you know, if you want to see a very feel-good, kindly movie about an older couple renewing their relationship, it's definitely worth seeing. And the acting was fantastic.
It was very good. It was good.
I mean,
It
talk
was
about
okay.
Tommy Lee Jones, you know, he doesn't have what you would call normally an expressive face. He's usually very kind of stern, and he plays like people with machine guns and things like that. But in this movie, he was relatively expressive, and I was quite impressed with his acting.
Yeah, it was okay. A lot with a little, and I'm thinking of this in terms of our lives, and one does not need to be in that 1% that everyone's talking about, but nobody seems to know. I'd like to know who the 13 millionaires are in Grafton now. I saw that on Grafton Patch.
Did you really?
And I started wondering, who are the 13 millionaires?
Ooh, now you'll make everybody wonder who didn't see it.
Yeah, 13. Chris, are you one of the 13 millionaires in Grafton?
I guess he doesn't know.
I mean, he's a lot. He's very well off.
Yeah.
You know, and he is. And
Well, $1 million isn't what it used to be either. I mean, you used to think $1 million, oh my word, that's so much money.
you used to think 50,000.
Now
quite
it's
a
got
bit.
to be $1 billion before it's very much.
True.
Considering what people spend on what they do.
Well,
Very
it
strange.
shows the devaluation of the dollar that nobody wants to talk about.
Oh, well, we don't need to talk about that either.
But I'm thinking a lot for a little.
Only
You
things that are
don't
funny.
need as much as you think you do to lead a productive, happy life.
That's true.
You need more
Mm-hmm.
than you think you do.
Not really.
And I'm really happy with my life, living simply with you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're the only woman, I think, who could tolerate me. If any women could tolerate me out there, please call the station. And just, you don't have to say who you are. Just say, yes, I could tolerate Stephen. I would be curious to know if one call comes in.
I don't think any will.
You know?
Not because they wouldn't tolerate you, Stephen, but because people are so shy.
We have been swamped with dinner invitations.
Yeah, really.
Corpulence abounds in the tummy in terms of all those great Grafton folk who have insisted we come for dinner. And
You can also get a lot of calories with a little small amount. I mean, you know.
that's true. That's true. Well, I'm glad I allow myself during Patriots games a bag of popcorn.
A whole bag?
Well, as much of a bag as happens. It's not that much. It's like a bowl.
Well, I must say I can't make popcorn the way the
Indiana folks do.
other people do.
Indiana popcorn is pretty darn
It's
good.
pretty darn good, I have to admit. And
But-
I'm a homemade person.
And I notice with myself, when I'm watching a game, every time Brady throws a pass, I'm going like this with popcorn. And I'm shoveling the popcorn in.
So
And I'm
you're
having
trying
a
to
lot
get-
for a little amount of time.
Right.
You
Or you're
see.
trying to get, you know, not too many calories with a lot of pleasure.
So, well, popcorn's not fattening.
Well, when it has things like cheese on it and stuff,
Still
it's a
not.
little bit more fattening.
It's a lot better than the Hershey
Depends on
bars.
what you think of as fattening. You know, a cup of popcorn isn't very. A cup of popcorn, you know, is about this much popcorn. And how much popcorn do you eat when you're going like this? You probably eat many cups of popcorn.
It would depend.
We'd have to
Couple.
measure it out
Yeah.
for the calories and all. But why spoil your pleasure? I mean, don't
Exactly.
worry about it. If you eat a lot one day, then don't eat very much the next day. I mean, balance.
What I think is important is being thankful for what we have.
Oh, you got that right.
However much, however little.
Yeah.
And if we're satisfied with our lives, if we're happy with our lives, and if there's enough, then
I think enough is like happiness.
enough is enough.
Enough is in here. Enough
Right.
isn't out there someplace.
Right.
I
But-
mean, one person's enough is not necessarily.
But if we're
others,
comfortable with enough in our minds,
without wanting more.
right, it doesn't matter who has what else.
Mhm.
I looked at that little town in New Jersey that got demolished. Those summer homes, $1 million summer homes, were just sort of like flung
How
aside.
about the streets of Hoboken that were like the water was up,
Yeah,
ruined houses?
I was thinking of living there once.
Yeah, yeah.
I was thinking of going to New York and living in the city, or living in Hoboken or
You used to
Brooklyn
think about
Heights.
living in New Orleans too.
Yes, I did.
Maybe be careful where you think about living.
These are premonitions, perhaps, you know. Something wrong?
No, I'm.
You
I'm
just can't keep your hands off me,
That's
can you?
right. I'm trying to fix
You
your
can't.
cord so that
My
it doesn't.
cord is fine, thank you. It's
Now it is.
taking care of itself.
Now it is.
Yes, yeah. Which is good. But you can play with my cord if you want to. It's perfectly all right.
You're too much.
No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm a little. You know. I'm just a little. That's
dear.
all. Lost it again,
my.
huh? Aren't you glad this isn't the Carson show? Well, that's not on anymore. You know.
Yeah, no, he's
But,
gone.
come on, my cord needs attention. It's okay, really. But I'm glad you're happy. I don't know any other woman who would be, except Sharon Stone, and she understands.
I learned it at an
that I'm
early
with
age.
you.
I learned to be happy with a little.
Yeah.
Really. During the war, there wasn't much. We didn't even have any butter, and we used to have to take the margarine and squeeze it.
You do remind me of her, though.
Who?
Sharon Stone.
Really?
Yes.
Well, I'm complimented.
You're
I
both
think.
blondes. And she was witty and urbane, especially in Basic Instinct 2, the way she drove. That opening scene reminds me of the way you drive.
Oh,
Yes, it was really good.
I'm a good driver.
You're an excellent driver, so was she.
But I don't drive 90 miles an hour, and she probably was driving
I think she
fast.
was driving over 100, but it was sleek
That's
and
not
you
me.
didn't care.
I don't drive fast.
She was
if I
encouraging-
did, you'd scream and run out of the car.
She was encouraging her passenger to do rather bawdy things
Oh, I see.
while she was flooring this little Corvette. It was
Well,
charming.
well.
It was really good.
Yes, yes.
It was great movie, great actress, totally unappreciated, never got an Academy Award.
Well, people in murder things usually don't.
I know, it's too bad, really.
Yeah, well, if you
We're
say
with
so.
you, Sharon. Come to Grafton. We'd love to have you. Find a little townhouse somewheres along the river, you know. But anyway, she's my favorite actress. Cary Grant is still my favorite actor. Archie Leach or
Going to
whomever.
thrift stores is getting a lot for a little,
I know, I like that.
Consignment stores, thrift stores. I think, well, now, someone was telling me just recently that when they went to the Salvation Army, it was thronged with people.
It's like Walmart.
Buying,
you know.
yeah, like Walmart.
Really,
It was
yeah.
like, and they're all looking for bargains. Everybody looking for a bargain these days.
Well, I know Grafton has some
I mean,
of
somebody's
the,
got to buy the new clothes. Hopefully, the 1% is all out there buying lots of clothes and donating them to many thrift
Yes.
shops and consignment shops.
and getting fat and they don't fit anymore. you
Right,
know,
right,
so
right,
then
right.
They,
And
they
so
pass
that-
them on.
so that people
But we
can
have
buy them.
really good thrift stores here. Can I mention names? Can I mention names, Chris? Is it okay to mention names?
No, not
He's
really.
shaking his head.
No. We
Well-
do. We have several very nice thrift stores in Grafton, and you can find them out by going online and Googling.
Yeah,
you can
Google-
Google anything.
Google anything.
Talk about a lot for a little. That's
Yeah, that-
Google is a lot for a little. You just
Yeah.
write down the name and you just slash, and then you write something else, and then you slash and you write something else, and bingo, there you are. It's astonishing.
But what I find really psychologically interesting is you go to a thrift store and you find a leather vest for, say, $30, $40, $50.
Or less. Or
Yeah.
10 or 15.
And then you go on to the leather company that makes the vest, and that same vest is $300. Marked down from $700. Now, who would want to pay $300 for a vest, leather vest? Granted, it's new
Well,
and it's
somebody
still it's
does,
in the box.
obviously, or
you know.
nobody would have bought it in the first place.
True, but once you familiarize yourself with thrift shops and alternative shopping, the idea of going mainline again makes you stop and think.
But you know, there are people, for instance, who don't feel comfortable wearing other clothes that other people have worn. They want new.
Well, if there's
Just like they might want a new house that nobody ever lived in.
Well, I mean, you can have that
But you have to pay for it.
if that's what you want.
Yeah.
But you know, it's really wonderful to have the alternative trickle down.
That's a trickle-down economics, isn't it?
Yes,
When
that's
people
trickle
buy and then
down.
buy things
Second
new.
hand is trickle down.
Yeah, second-hand is trickle-down. That's-
Job lot is trickle down.
Yeah, well, that's not second-hand. That's
It could be
salvage
damaged.
or
That's
whatever,
salvage
yeah.
or damaged or
yeah, job lot.
what have you.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
but I think to do this and to be happy,
Yes,
and
the
not,
trick is not to think of yourself as poor.
but then the catalogs come every Christmas. The catalogs.
Think of yourself as thrifty.
Yes, the
Careful.
Orvis catalog. You really have to be rich to want to spend $1,000 or $1,200 on a sweater.
On a sweater.
I know Chris does, but you know he has a trust fund and he's really he's well cared for.
Yeah.
You know he's there with Mitt
Yeah,
Mann and the one
the catalogs
percenters.
and the advertisings and things like that could make a person feel as though they were lacking if they felt that they ought to be able to spend $1,200 on a sweater. I mean, I look at Harper's Bazaar when I go to the library, and I see shoes in there for $800 and bracelets for $1,200 and sweaters for $1,500, and I think to myself, well, you know, they're very pretty, but I would be nervous if I was wearing something that was worth so much money and it got spot on it or something. What would I do? I'd feel horrible.
You'd have it dry cleaned.
Yeah, really. Maybe it wouldn't come out.
Well, I want
know?
to tell you what I do, and friends out there, this works. You can simply see what you want in a catalog, okay? And see yourself wearing
Yeah,
that
envision,
item.
yeah.
Envision, visualize yourself
Or
wearing
affirm,
that,
Or affirm, if you don't. Some people
and
don't.
see it in your closet,
Okay, yeah.
and
or
then
affirm
say,
that it's in your closet. This
and
is
then
in my closet. I own this beautiful
and
sweater.
for the highest good, I give thanks that if it is appropriate, I can find this, and then forget it.
Yeah,
And then next spring, you're at a yard sale,
and there's the sweater.
and there's the sweater for $30.
Yeah.
You know,
You know, actually, it's interesting. When
we should tell some of our yard sale
when
experiences.
we were pruning. No, I want to tell a story. When we were pruning, we gave away a bunch of stuff, including some vests, that various down vests that I had was too thin for now. And I was thinking to myself, oh, wouldn't it be nice to find a really cute vest with feathers and stuff, you know, the down kind of thing. And I just kind of let the thought go. And then the very next day, I was in one of my favorite consignment shops here in Grafton, and lo and behold,
There it was.
There it was. I was excited, I'll tell you.
Good.
You know, it was like my wish came true bingo.
Yeah.
But I have to tell you, I had no attachment to that wish. Now, that's really the key and secret.
Absolutely.
If you want something and you keep saying, I want this, I want this, I want this, that implies you don't have it,
Exactly.
you know? So you have to be saying things like, this is mine. This is part of me. I like this, you know, and if you want to, or just say whatever it is you want and then kind of let it go for the highest good for all concerned. There you are.
Exactly.
It's fine. It's
Yeah.
absolutely fine.
So there's another solution, and that is to throw away the catalogs before you open them.
Oh, you can look at the catalogs.
But
No.
I don't do that.
You like to look at catalogs.
I
You like
look
to
at catalogs.
You like to shop and think how much money you're saving by not buying the things.
I really, thousands of dollars
I
each
love
week.
Well,
But the
that's-
Hammaker-Schlammer catalog,
That's sort of what I
is
like to
that's
do.
superb.
I go through a mall and I look in the windows and I feel like I'm in a museum. I pretend like I'm in a museum. And this is a modern museum, a museum of modern day life, and I'm walking down the street in the mall, and I'm looking at all the stuff, and wow, this is beautiful. But you don't buy things in the museum except in the museum shop, you know. So
Well,
I don't feel like I have to own
I
it.
don't really want to see my checkbook get hammered and slammered. you know.
Well said. I really like that.
I'd really prefer to have something really special
Yeah.
because I don't think people look at what anybody's wearing.
I would rather.
Do you? I mean,
I do look at what
do you
people's
look at
wearing,
what
but
people
not-
have on in church? Do you
Well,
care what shoes
Do I
someone
care?
is
I
wearing?
don't care. No, I look
Do you
because
notice?
I'm curious.
To me, shoes are shoes.
I
Guys'
look because
shoes
I'm
are
curious.
shoes. You know, you look at your. If someone's not wearing anything, then I would look, and I would see what special undergarments are on display. I mean, that would be novel in the house of the Lord.
church,
You
yes,
know,
definitely
really.
in church,
Well, especially,
absolutely.
but at the market, at the lettuce display.
the lettuce display,
If
right.
someone's come sashaying in their lingerie, you don't see that very
That was
often
sorta
in
cute,
Grafton.
wouldn't it?
We're not L.A. or Manhattan or other places. We're Grafton, Mass.
In the frilly under things.
Where men and women are women and the children are exceptional.
Yeah.
They should be for all
Yeah.
the money we're spending on schools.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
You said something about
About lingerie, you
thrift
want
stories, thrift shop shopping,
thrift shop shopping.
thrift
Yeah.
shop shopping, or consignment shop shopping.
Yes. What about it?
Thrift is usually a step below consignment, and consignment is usually goes on ahead, and then
Really?
you can have gently used or whatever.
Gently used. That means a big sweater
Or
worn by
pre-owned.
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 No, that's for cars now. I have a pre-owned Lexus.
I've seen pre-owned furniture too.
Mitt and Ann gave me a pre-owned Lexus.
Oh, they did,
Yeah,
did they?
Mittens, yes. Really.
Yeah, really.
But
So, what's your favorite thrift store
story? Well, my favorite yard sale story was the chair in Virginia. we ambled over to a yard sale in the Hunters Woods complex of little townhouses. It was quite lovely, wonderful architecture, overdeveloped so it floods all the time, but neither here nor there. I'm hearing our theme. I'm hearing music.
Somebody's phone, honey.
Maybe I'm tuning
Might
into.
be my phone.
Maybe I'm
or your
tuning
phone.
into Planet Ostentatious or something, you know. So anyway, there was this wonderful chair. And it was the sort of chair that if you looked at it, you would think, well, it would be a $2,000 to $3,000 chair.
Well, many
It was
hundreds
leather.
anyway.
No, more than many hundreds. This was the real deal. And it had an ottoman.
It had an ottoman.
And it was
brown leather.
It was brown leather, and it was really nice. And I said to the woman, "How much is this?" And she looked at me, and her eyes were a little bloodshot, but aside from that, she'd seen better days, I think, or better evenings. And she said, "What do you want to give me for it?" And I said, "I don't know. I didn't really bring much money, about $30." And I said that in a kind of
Offhanded manner.
offhanded, savoir-faire, humorous way. She said, "Sold."
Oops.
And we had to go get the car and take it home. And I said, "Really?" She said, "Yeah, it was his." What else do you see? This was all his. And his meaning the gentleman who had moved out,
Yeah.
and she was moving out, and she was getting rid of his stuff. And there was some great things. Oh,
Yep.
there was a Remington
And you
rifle
know what?
that
For
was
those
superb.
of you who have been watching Grafton Cable for a while might even recognize that chair because it ended up over here.
Yeah, it did. It ended up over here. Yeah.
Big
and-
brown leather chair with an ottoman, and I think it was in a good many sets for a
The
while.
ghost of Andrew Jackson
and I
sitting
think
in
it's
it.
since collapsed and gone the way of all good
Oh,
furniture.
the way of all furniture. Yeah, that
sooner
was
or later.
that was.
It was
really,
a very useful chair. We had it for a long time.
But it was fun.
We had it
was
until we
good.
got the newer furniture for.
But what was great was people would come over and go, "Oh, that's a wonderful piece of furniture," you know, and I'd smile.
And you got credit for having spent lots of money, a lot for a little.
And a lot for a little, you know.
yeah,
and-
you got a lot. We did. We got a lot for a little.
but
on
if you
that.
really want to tick someone off, you say, "Yes, and I got it for $30," and they look at you like, "Argh,"
Yeah.
and they get angry,
Yeah.
as opposed to cheering on your good fortune.
Uh-huh.
They feel that.
Yeah,
How
well, there
could
are
this be?
people who feel it's disgraceful to shop in thrift stores and consignment stores, and I can say to you, well, that's too bad about
Trickle down
you, right?
consumerism. That's what we've got.
Trickle-down consumerism.
Trickle-down
Absolutely.
consumerism, a lot for a little,
Yeah,
is the way to live in America in this new century.
yeah.
And we didn't have that at one point. People would live
I
on
don't
farms.
remember.
Towns would have farms,
Yeah.
and people would be relegated to farms.
Yeah.
And they, like out in Rutland,
Right.
Massachusetts, this was huge.
Well, there was a farm in Grafton.
Yeah, poor farm.
Yeah, something like that.
And you grew your food.
I think it's on the site where Wyman Gordon is, but I'm not sure. It was.
That could be.
Was.
But now things are a little different, more
Yeah.
industrialized.
Well, it used to be, too, that there weren't not such a things as charge cards.
Yeah, and credit is a whole
Yeah,
other,
I mean,
other
there
thing.
are so many people today who've grown up with never knowing that there was a time when the only way you could get anything that you didn't pay all the money for was to put it on layaway.
Yeah, and they have that at
They
certain mall
still
stores
have that
today.
in some of the mall stores. I mean, they brought it back, actually.
They're bringing it back.
Because so many people have decided not to use credit cards anymore, or they don't want to, build
Mhm.
up their, they'd rather not own it until they've paid for it, which is a good thing,
Right,
in a way.
makes sense.
I mean, we pay our credit cards when they come, but not
I
everybody
just-
can do that.
I just think that it makes better sense to feel good about what you have and feel fortunate for what you have,
Mhm.
rather than kvetch about what you don't have.
Right.
And in so doing, things are really a lot better, and you're happier.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
Well, that happiness doesn't come from having what you want. It comes from wanting what you have.
yes, I think so.
I mean, I didn't coin that either.
I think that's wonderful.
But it's really, really true, and that's where happiness is.
I think you better attack me and grab my cord, because we've got 2 minutes left.
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
It's coming out
And
again.
It's coming out again? No,
Yeah.
no, no, I zipped it up. It can't be. Really, it's okay. Yeah, this is the senior show here on Grafton Cable. We are,
Oh, you are so naughty.
really?
Yes, you are.
I live in Grafton. This
You're
is a
very
wild
naughty.
town. The parties that go on here, especially in the big houses in South Grafton,
Yeah.
are pretty outrageous. I've heard of them.
Yeah.
Someday we can do an expose.
Oh, an expose. Yeah.
Yes, when Sharon Stone comes, we'll know where to take her. Yes, exactly. Anyway, it's a pleasure, and I love you. And your birthday is coming
My
up.
birthday's coming.
Yes.
I'm
Next
going to be
week-
101, right?
Next week is her birthday, and we're going to beautiful downtown Greenfield for lunch,
Yep.
which will be
Lunch and B&B.
wonderful. Yeah,
B&B.
And
B&B shopping.
it's
B&B staying, rather.
yes, and we're happy to be gone, and we'll be happy to come back
Always.
for your celebrated tea in a week. And
And we're winding down.
I'm not winding down. I'm ready
You
to
know
go.
what? You know
Really,
what?
you've been playing with my cord, and I'm on, dude. Yes,
I love you.
I love you
a
too.
lot.
I love you a lot, and I'm real glad to be
And
your
there's
partner.
no little about it.
Absolutely.
Mwah.
And I'd rather have you than Miss
And little
Streep.
things mean a lot.
I'd rather be with you than Meryl Streep.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad.
I'd save on hairdressers and cosmetologists.
You think?
Oh yeah, I hear the theme. It's ending. So long. It's been good to know you. Come back soon. We'll see you next
We
month.
love you.